Hi, I'm Lila of Nevillution, and today I'll be giving commentary on Neville Goddard's 1941 book, Your Faith is Your Fortune. In Chapter 3, The Principle of Truth, Neville writes, "When man gives up his belief in a God apart from himself and begins to recognize his awareness of being to be God, he will transform his world with the realization, I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. He will know that his consciousness is God, and that which he is conscious of being is the Son bearing witness of God the Father. You are the Creator, and all your creations in a sense are like children. You create, you sustain, you destroy. So knowing this, be more intentional. In being more intentional, we bring our wisdom as well as intuition into play. And in doing this, the first thing we do is to realize what we want. And for those who don't know what you want, most certainly you're aware of what you don't want, and just ask yourself, what do you want instead? And from there, you will take your attention away from what you feel you lack, and you will use your imagination to place your feelings to feel you already have what you want, and you will keep coming back to this until it gels and outpictures. But for some, the things we don't want, or the feelings of lack, we've become so identified that it's hard to separate the person from the state. So to break what feels this impossible spell to break, Neville teaches a technique of I am. Silently, but feelingly, sensing I am. It's not simply just stating over and over, I am, but it's realizing what you truly are before anything. You can say, I am this or that. I am doing this or that. But before all these conditions, stop after I am. That part of your awareness listening to me right now, that's consciousness. Neville says, simply feel that you are faceless and formless, and continue doing so until you feel yourself floating. And this floating psychological state is something that denies the physical, and with practice in this relaxation technique, going beyond the five senses, it will get easier to reach this very receptive state, and then it will become very surprisingly easy to accomplish it anytime you wish. This is the place to manifest from. And the type of manifesting I'm talking about is the intentional, deep, heartfelt desires, including those that feel impossible. This is the psychological state from where to manifest those such desires from. This is the depths of your being, and in this liquidy state, it will feel as though anything is possible. And that's why it is such a special state, and yet it is also such a natural expression of who you truly are. This is the secret how the grasshopper becomes the giant. Neville says, today is the day, the eternal now, when conditions in the world have attained the appearance of giants, the unemployed, the armies of the enemy, business competition, etc., are the giants which make you feel yourself to be a helpless grasshopper. We can only be to others only that which we are to ourselves. Therefore, as we revalue ourselves and begin to feel ourselves to be the giant, a center of power, we automatically change our relationship to the giants, reducing these former monsters to their true place, making them appear to be the helpless grasshoppers. Awake to the realization, I am the light of the world. In Chapter 4, Whom Seek Ye? In this chapter, Neville talks about how we're always trying to find the answer from something outside of ourselves, whether it's a person, some course, so on. Now sometimes these things have their place, but ultimately, we must find that teacher within, as cliché as that may sound. For how many times have we heard of people who've spent so much money on this or that, but what did it gain them in the end? So no longer will we worship other men or the things they create. From this point, our worship is within, for the kingdom of heaven is within. Neville says, this realization will be the first real initiation. The lesson learned will be this. There is only one master, and this master is God, the I am within themselves. I am that awareness, the consciousness. Neville goes on, stop looking for the master to come. He is with you, always. I am with you always, even until the end of the world. Before you came to this world, and after you seemingly leave this world, your I am, your consciousness, will always be with you. It is beyond words, beyond eternity. And this is why Neville also teaches to go beyond human superstition, because it's giving your power away. Neville says, your belief in masters is a confession of your slavery. Only slaves have masters. Change your conception of yourself and you will, without the aid of masters or anyone else, automatically transform your world to conform to your changed conception of yourself. Man's conception of himself is so grasshopper-like that he automatically makes the conditions round about him appear gigantic. In his blindness, he cries out for masters to help him fight his giant problems. But now you will look with God's eyes, and you will think as God does, and you would manifest as God would. You are the giant, and everything else, it is all grasshoppers created from the giant. In Chapter 5, Who Am I? Neville says, stop looking for signs. Signs follow, they do not proceed. Begin to reverse the statement, seeing is believing, to believing is seeing. Start now to believe, not with the wavering confidence based on deceptive external evidence, but with an undaunted confidence based on the immutable law that you can be that which you desire to be. You will find that you are not a victim of fate, but a victim of faith, meaning your own faith. And this kind of goes along the lines of superstition as well. Sometimes people wait for a sign before they start believing something. But we have to retrain ourselves to see these divine truths. Everything outside is our consciousness objectified. So waste no time trying to change the outside. Change the within or the impression, and the without or expression will take care of itself. Neville goes on, when the truth of this statement dawns upon you, you will know that you have found the lost word to the key of every door. I am, your consciousness, is the magical lost word, which was made flesh in the likeness of that which you are conscious of being. And it's when we firmly establish these truths, especially through growing experience, we develop conviction. And then when we say I am and follow up by whatever condition, it can be instant. And until then, we continue to marinate in these truths and to hone in on these skills until we know firsthand enough, just like Neville and other great mystics, and thus become master of our fate. In closing of this chapter, Neville says, remember, heaven is your consciousness. The kingdom of heaven is within you. This is why you are warned against calling any man father. Your consciousness is the father of all that you are. Again, you are told, salute no man on the highway. See no man as an authority. Why would you ask man for permission to express when you realize that your world and its every detail originated within you and is sustained by you as the only conceptual center? Your whole world may be likened to solidified space mirroring the beliefs and acceptances as projected by a formless, faceless presence, namely, I am. Reduce the whole to its primordial substance, and nothing would remain but you, a dimensionless presence, the conceiver. In Chapter 6, I Am He, Neville gives a simple formula. Take your attention from your present conception of yourself and place it on that ideal of yours, the ideal you had heretofore thought beyond your reach. Claim yourself to be your ideal, not as something that you will be in time, but as that which you are in the immediate present. Do this, and your present world of limitations will disintegrate as your new claim rises like the phoenix from its ashes. Heaven is your consciousness, and earth its solidified state. Neville goes on, here is an analogy that might help you to see this mystery. Suppose you entered a motion picture theater just as the feature picture came to its end. All that you saw of the picture was the happy ending. Because you wanted to see the entire story, you waited for it to unfold again. With the anticlimactic sequence, the hero is displayed as accused, surrounded by false evidence, all that goes to wring tears from the audience. But you, secure in the knowledge of the ending, remain calm, with the understanding that, regardless of the seeming direction of the picture, the end has already been defined. And so you too, as you manifest, will remember this analogy. Whatever goes on in between, do not let it fluster you. Stay secure, reminded, knowing the end state is done. In Chapter 8, No Other God, Neville says, knowing that consciousness objectifies itself, man must forgive all men for being that which they are. He must realize that all are expressing, without the aid of another, that which they are conscious of being. Stir up the gift within you. Stop begging and claim yourself to be that which you decide to be. Do this, and you too will jump from your crippled world into the world of freedom, singing praises to the Lord, I am. Far greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. This is the cry of everyone who finds his awareness of being to be God. Your recognition of this fact will automatically cleanse the temple, your consciousness, of the thieves and robbers, restoring you to that dominion over things which you lost the moment you forgot the command, Thou shalt have no other God beside me. So keeping in with what Neville said here, just realize when you go throughout the day and you start to react, maybe you're disappointed or angry with someone, don't fall back asleep and give your power away. Just remember that all things are your mental states externalized, so there's nothing to blame but self, and there's no use in blaming self, but to learn from it and to manifest even better and reach the point where we don't forget and fall back, and that's our ultimate fate and destiny beyond the stream of life. Chapter 9, The Foundation Stone. Neville says, freedom or imprisonment, satisfaction or frustration can only be differentiated by the consciousness of being. Regardless of your problem, its duration or its magnitude, careful attention to these instructions will in an amazingly short time eliminate even the memory of the problem. Ask yourself this question: how would I feel if I were free? The very moment you sincerely ask this question, the answer comes. No man can tell another man the satisfaction of his desire fulfilled. It remains for each within himself to experience the feeling and joy of this automatic change of consciousness. The feeling or thrill that comes to one in response to this self-questioning is the father state of consciousness, or foundation stone upon which the conscious change is built. Just how this feeling will embody itself no one knows, but it will. The father, consciousness, has ways that no man knows. It is the unalterable law. So with these words of Neville, whatever it is you seek in life, you can always find the foundation to start on. If you were who you wanted to be, and or you had what you wanted to have, how would it feel? That feeling, that's your foundation stone. And Neville goes on about wearing these new states of consciousness. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, unbelievable, but as you continue to practice this and feel the feeling of your wish fulfilled, it will become more natural. And if you stick around and persist, you will outpicture it. And Neville has often pointed out how important that feeling of naturalness is, and to persist in it long enough until it gels, and it has to outpicture. You're outpicturing things all the time. Just look around you. Look at the different experiences you had today and the past year. So you already do it. You're just learning to do it more intentionally. And to do that takes attention to these words to bring intention to your manifestations and thus mastery. And in closing of this chapter, why does it seem so hard sometimes? And the answer is most likely, you've been hypnotized so long by what you thought was the only reality, it's become so natural that it's difficult to wear something else, difficult to realize that your consciousness is your savior. But as Neville says, you must assume this garment if you would have results. Practice will make perfect. In Chapter 16, The Triune God, Neville gives a practical application of this mystery. Sit quietly and decide what it is you would like most to express or possess. After you have decided, close your eyes and take your attention completely away from all that would deny the realization of the thing desired. Then assume a receptive attitude of mind and play the game of supposing by imagining how you would feel if you were now to realize your desire. Begin to listen as though space were talking to you and telling you that you are now that which you desire to be. This receptive attitude is the state of consciousness that you must assume before an impression can be made. As this pliable and impressive state of mind is attained, then begin to impress upon yourself the fact that you are that which you desire to be by claiming and feeling that you are now expressing and possessing that which you have decided to be and to have. Continue in this attitude until the impression is made. As you contemplate being and possessing that which you have decided to be and to have, you will notice that with every inhalation of breath, a joyful thrill courses through your entire being. This thrill increases in intensity as you feel more and more the joy of being that which you are claiming yourself to be. Then in one final deep inhalation, your whole being will explode with the joy of accomplishment, and you will know by your feeling that you are impregnated by God, the Father. As soon as the impression is made, open your eyes and return to the world that but a few moments before you had shut out. In this receptive attitude of yours, where you contemplated being that which you desired to be, you are actually performing the spiritual act of generation. So you are now on your return from the silent meditation, a pregnated being, bearing a child or impression, your wish fulfilled, which child was immaculately conceived without the aid of man. Now Neville says, doubt is the only force capable of disturbing the seed or impression. To avoid a miscarriage of so wonderful a child, walk in secrecy through the necessary interval of time that it will take the impression to become an expression. Tell no man of your spiritual romance. Lock your secret within you in joy, confident and happy that someday you will bear the son of your lover by expressing and possessing the nature of your impression. And in closing of the chapter, you will know that the plurality of gods referred to is the three aspects of your own consciousness, and that you are the Trinity, meeting in a spiritual conclave to fashion a world in the image and likeness of that which you are conscious of being. And now you have such a wonderful example, such a wonderful exercise to bring all your heartfelt desires into reality. Such a wonderful practice and guidance to come back to any time to help usher in the great children of all the manifestations in the depths of your being that make your heart soar. Now in chapter 18, the 12 disciples, Neville talks about the different disciplined qualities of the mind to make for successful manifestation and mastery of manifesting. One quality is discipline, permitting only dignified and honorable visitors or impressions to consciousness. So what Neville is pointing to here is be careful what you feed your consciousness, what you allow yourself to feel, what thoughts of yours you continue to entertain. Is it something you want to grow? Or what kind of conversations with other friends, like gossip, or what kind of news you watch? Be careful how much you watch, because what you put your attention to, you grow, and you want to successfully manifest efficiently, and you want your manifestation to be wonderful from start to finish. So don't muddle it up. Be discerning what you feed your mind. And the second quality is courage. It takes courage to go within and not to rely on something outside, especially when someone is in the midst of something where they're right in it and it feels overwhelming. Now, if something is too overwhelming, do whatever feels right for you in the moment. But ultimately, we want to be able to turn within, regardless that sometimes circumstances feel very uncomfortable, things feel impossible. It takes courage. Quality 3 and 4 have to do with disciplined judgment. In one sense, to be just and wise. Sometimes you have to incorporate tough love, and other times to still be able to return good for evil. Ultimately, learning not to be influenced by anything on the outside or any appearance. and this also incorporates to hear only the good. Neville says, the man who has this quality of his mind disciplined is incapable of hearing and accepting as true anything, either of himself or another, which does not, on the hearing, fill his heart with love. Every day we hear all kinds of things, and we've learned to kind of just automatically accept what we hear. What someone we may have looked at as authority has said, be it a doctor, a news anchor, or for some a politician. Or maybe we hear someone speaking of another ill will, or speaking with no hope of someone's situation. But if one wants to move mountains, symbolically speaking, or maybe literally for some people, you need this quality of mind discipline. Persistence is another quality, to continue to go on regardless, because quitters never win, winners never quit. And you, my friend, listening to this, you are a winner, or you wouldn't have attracted this recording to you. Quality 6, the imaginative faculty. Neville says, an awakened imagination places the one so awakened head and shoulders above the average man, giving him the appearance of a beacon of light in a world of darkness. No quality so separates from man as does the disciplined imagination. This is the separation of the wheat from the chaff. Those who have given most to society are our artists, scientists, inventors, and others with vivid imaginations. Now, the 7th quality of denial kind of goes hand in hand with that of discipline. Basically, anything not in harmony with your fulfilled wish is a rumor. Neville says, the man who is conscious of being healthy, not because of inherited health, diets, or climate, but because he is awakened and knows the state of consciousness in which he lives, will, in spite of the conditions of the world, continue to express health. He could hear through the press, radio, and wise men of the world that a plague was sweeping the earth, and yet he would remain unmoved and unimpressed, denying the sickness or anything else which is not in sympathy with the consciousness. This quality of denial, when disciplined, protects men from receiving impressions that are not in harmony with his nature. He adopts an attitude of total indifference to all suggestions that are foreign to that which he desires to express. Disciplined denial is not a fight or a struggle, but total indifference. Now, if these things seem difficult, don't worry about it. These are qualities as you become aware of. Even in that awareness, they will start to unfold. And now I really like quality 8, the gift of God. Neville says, the man who has called this disciple into being knows that every desire of his heart is a gift from heaven, and that it contains both the power and the plan of its self-expression. Such a man never questions the manner of its expression. He knows that the plan of expression is never revealed to man for God's ways or past finding out. He fully accepts his desires as gifts already received and goes his way in peace, confident that they shall appear. So in other words, whatever the great desires of our hearts are, those are the gifts of God. They want to be expressed, and they've already been received. So it's just allowing this expression for our ultimate sustained enjoyment. Quality 9, the quality of discernment, a clear and ordered mind, to perceive those things which are not seen by the human eye, and since it is not based on cause and effect, it cannot be misled by appearances. And in a sense, Neville calls this clairvoyance, and by clairvoyance he means true clairvoyance, the clear seeing of the mystic. We're not talking here about the clairvoyance of seance rooms. The 10th quality is praise, which is something Neville points out that we're often lacking. Neville says, when this quality of praise and thanksgiving is awake within man, he walks with the words, "Thank you, Father," ever on his lips. That which can make all things happen beyond the limitations of what the human mind can fathom. He knows that his thanks for things not seen opens the windows of heaven and permits gifts beyond his capacity to receive to be poured upon him. So that is another key, that attitude of gratitude that is perpetually placed across our heart. The 11th quality, hearing good news. It kind of adds on some of the qualities we already heard, just the discipline that the mind is incapable of hearing anything but good news, and so is well qualified to preach the gospel or good spell. And the final 12th quality is detachment, a sort of mystical suicide, dying to the old so we can become all that we desire to be. And everything contained in this commentary and all of Neville's books and recordings, they all give you the way to make these seeming impossible qualities your awakened true nature. In chapter 21, Daniel in the Lion's Den, Neville says, I've seen people apparently hopelessly in debt apply this principle, and in but a very short time, debts that were mountainous were removed. I've also seen those who doctors have given up as incurable apply this principle, and in an incredibly short time, their so-called incurable disease vanished and left no scar. Look upon your desires as the spoken words of God, and every word of prophecy of that which you are capable of being. Do not question whether you are worthy or unworthy to realize these desires. Accept them as they come to you. Give thanks for them as though they were gifts. Feel happy and grateful for having received such wonderful gifts. Then go your way in peace. Such simple acceptance of your desires is like the dropping of a fertile seed into an ever-prepared soil. When you drop your desire into consciousness as a seed, confident that it shall appear in its full-blown potential, you have done all that is expected of you. To be worried or concerned about the manner of their unfoldment is to hold these fertile seeds in a mental grasp, and therefore to prevent them from really maturing to full harvest. Don't be anxious or concerned as to results. Results will follow just as surely as day follows night. Have faith in this planting until the evidence is manifest to you that it is so. Your confidence in this procedure will pay great rewards. You wait but a little while in the consciousness of the thing desired. Then suddenly, and when you least expect it, the thing felt becomes your expression. And that is probably one of the reasons why some people feel they don't get what they want. They forget these words, and they start to doubt. And with that doubting, they feel they must have to know when, where, how. So we must remember that these things will muddle, slow down, or even prevent, just allowing our manifestation to blossom in our life as a tangible experience. In closing of this chapter, Neville says, You are today in the heaven that you have established within yourself, for here on this very earth, your heaven reveals itself. The kingdom of heaven really is at hand. Now is the accepted time, so create a new heaven. Enter into a new state of consciousness, and a new earth will appear. And in chapter 22, Fishing, Neville gives another formula for getting the big manifestations that seem extra hard to get, extra far away. He likens it to fishing because he says that when fishermen go to catch a big fish, they often go into the deep waters. So we too will go into the depths of our own consciousness for the big expressions of life. Neville says, here is a simple formula for successful fishing. First, decide what it is you want to express or possess. This is essential. You must definitely know what you want of life before you can fish for it. After your decision is made, turn from the world of sense. Remove your attention from the problem and place it on just being by repeating quietly but with feeling, I am. Sensing that presence, that awareness listening here. As your attention is removed from the world round about you and placed upon the I am, consciousness, awareness, so that you are lost in the feeling of simply being, you will find yourself slipping the anchor that tied you to the shallows of your problem. And effortlessly, you will find yourself moving out into the deep. The sensation which accompanies this act is one of expansion. You will feel yourself rise and expand, as though you were actually growing. Do not be afraid of this floating, growing experience, for you're not going to die to anything but your limitations. However, your limitations are going to die as you move away from them, for they live only in your consciousness. In this deep or expanded consciousness, you will feel yourself to be a mighty pulsating power, as deep and as rhythmical as the ocean. This expanded feeling is the signal that you are now in the deep blue waters where the big fish swim. Suppose the fish you decided to catch were health and freedom. You begin to fish in this formless, pulsating depth of yourself for these qualities or states of consciousness by feeling, I am healthy. I am free. And you continue claiming and feeling yourself to be healthy and free until the condition that you are so possesses you. As the conviction is born within you, so that all doubts pass away, and you know and feel that you are free from the limitations of the past, you will know that you have hooked the fish. The joy which courses will begin to express and possess that which you are conscious of being and possessing, experiencing with the fisherman the joy of landing the big one. Now go and fish for the manifestations of life by casting your nets in the right side. And this concludes my commentary on Neville Goddard's 1941 book, Your Faith is Your Fortune. And I wish you all a wonderful and happy manifesting. Signing off, Lila of Nevillution. Be sure to check out the links below if you'd like to support this channel. Thank you.